If there's one guy on planet Earth that you should never, ever trash talk, then it has to be the guy wearing number 30 for the Golden State Warriors, named Stephen freaking Curry. I mean, last year, I bet you guys still remember Dillon Brooks trolled not just Steph, but the entire Warriors when he said,
from the beginning, we were growing a base, we had a base, and we just kept building and building and building, and more guys got on the train, and we were able to, create something like this and keep building this dynasty. And
now fast forward to this season. It seems that the chef has been collecting receipts all along. And even though Brooks has already changed jerseys and zip codes, Steph still holds a grudge over what he said. And when they face Houston on their home floor, Curry went up to Dillon Dynasty Brooks and was like,
"Dirty work off that missed free throw."
Curry from the wing. Curry knocks.
More calls here in this game. Not that me or you are qualified to challenge any of those calls, but I don't have
14 and 27. Curry.
He's been quiet all night, but he's scoring a flurry.
Absolutely. He's in a little bit of a rhythm. There's another one. And this core group, as I mentioned earlier, 12 seasons together. They've been together forever. Curry loses Brooks not once but twice. And then he makes another one.
oh my goodness. Against Brooks and his new squad, the chef cooked up 4 spicy three-pointers down the stretch and ended up with 24 points along with 7 rebounds, 6 assists, and 1 block to let Brooks know that he still got his number this season. Entering his 15th season in the league, the chef is still cooking at age 35, and in this video, we're going to break down some of the greatest hits that Steph Curry made this season thus far. So buckle up, guys. This one's going to be a wild ride. Alright, first up, let's rewind a couple days back and talk about his scintillating performance against the New Orleans Pelicans. In this game, the big guns from both squads were in attendance, like Steph and Zion. However, both their Robins, Clay and Brandon Ingram, were hurt and they didn't play. It was a tight contest in the first half as both teams were still filling each other out. But when the third quarter came, that's where the chef started to cook. I mean, around the 8:56 mark of the third, Steph just completely embarrassed Jordan Hawkins here as he went for a flyby. Then, if that wasn't embarrassing enough, he floored him with a slight hip check before splashing down the wide open tray. Then, moments later, he puts on his dancing shoes against Matt Ryan, and he just plowed through the 6'10" Larry Nance Jr. as if he's just a bowling pin. The Warriors closed out the third with a big margin. And when the fourth quarter came, the chef just toyed with them by giving the Pelicans a daily dose of the Steph Curry special.
Stay clicking on all cylinders on both ends. Curry pulls the trip. 5th rebound of the night for Williamson. Curry now working on Zion. Steps back. I had to look to see how old he is. He's 35 doing this. Steph.
When it's all said and done, the babyface assassin dropped a season-high 42 points while splashing down 15 out of 22 from the field and 7 out of 13 from 3. In addition, the chef also racked up 5 rebounds, 5 assists, and 2 steals to lead the Dubs to a huge win, 130-102. Well, aside from the Pelicans game, Steph also had a monster game against their North California rival, the Sacramento Kings. This was actually their first game at Golden One Center since the chef eliminated the Kings with a 50-piece performance in Game 7 of their first round series in last season's playoffs. And by the third quarter, Steph picked up where he left off by revving up with these kinds of plays. So here's Steph going toe-to-toe with Werder. He dashed through Werder to sell his attack. Then, he just stopped on a dime before pulling the trigger. Then a couple of possessions later, Steph shows his magic here as he fishes for a foul and delivers a rare 4-point play opportunity. But when the Kings were starting to come alive, the chef would do his thing to stop the bleeding.
Rookie season in Indiana before Sabonis was traded midway through the year to Sacramento. Here's Curry looking to evade. Here's Curry stepping away.
And when the game was on the line, Steph would show up and knock down the biggest shot of the game to ice this one for good.
Yeah,
That's a problem.
7 to shoot. Wiggins turns the corner, finds Curry a three. You bet!
Against their crosstown rivals, Curry dropped 41 on them on 73.7% shooting from the field and splashed down 7 out of 10 three-pointers while grabbing 4 rebounds, 4 assists, and 2 steals to come away with the W 122-114. Anyway, Steph's revenge tour continues when he lands in Detroit. And despite the fact that the Pistons were missing 6 players due to illness and injury, the chef doesn't care about all that and just starts cooking in the early minutes of the first quarter.
By Bagley, Draymond guarded by Beats 2, Steph Curry fires. Warriors after the foul. Working on a 14-second shot clock. Steph Curry and the Warriors get a steal. Payton flicked it away to Saric. On the drive, Jalen Durham and Joe Harris. Out in this one, Steph Curry for 3.
Curry scored 16 points in the first 7.5 minutes and finished the half with 20. And when the second half came, Steph continued his dominance by destroying this young Pistons squad from every possible angle. Here's Steph doing his thing at the top of the key. After rejecting Saric's screen, he just pulls back and drills this easy step-back bucket. Now, coming off a pin-down screen, Steph didn't curl and instead slid into the corner. CP3 then found Steph, and Steph, in return, didn't embarrass CP3 as he made this tough corner 3 with a hand on his face bothering him. But once again, when the game is on the line, the chef put on his Superman cape and just took over.
Fouls the Warriors with 3, 4 and 22 to play. Golden State by 2. Steph Curry with a drive and a scoop and a score.
When the final buzzer sounded, Steph tallied a whopping 34 points on 46.2% shooting from the field, along with 7 triples, 2 boards, and 4 assists to carry the Dubs once again to another victory, 120-109. Anyway, as impressive as this game was, it was actually nothing if you would compare it to what the chef pulled off against the Oklahoma City Thunder in their first in-season tournament encounter. I mean, the game had a playoff atmosphere in it, as both teams threw haymakers back and forth to see who's going to go down first. And in the second quarter, there's actually one play that stood out for me, which goes something like this.
But decides to set up some offense.
And I'm surprised Steph Curry gave that up.
Now, right after that alley-oop, Steph would put his tie on and went to work. First, he brushes off Lou Dort with this nasty step back, as if he wasn't there in the first place. Then in the third frame, he torched Dort once again, this time from the opposite corner with a much tougher 3-ball. Now, down by 3 with 1 minute left in the game, the chef would take over once again, as he splits the defense here, before laying it in against the outstretched arms of both Holmgren and Dort. And with a tied ball game on hand, Steph does what Steph does best. And that is to put a dagger into the hearts of the opposing teams by winning it at the buzzer.
Dort a great defender at 3. Curry sidestep, Curry drive, Curry flip, Curry good! With 2 tenths again!
In this intense game, the 2-time MVP scored 30 points on 9 out of 15 shooting from the field, while making 5 out of 10 from distance. The chef also added 8 rebounds, 7 assists, and 2 steals to round up this all-around performance and lift the Dubs to a 141-139 win in this in-season tournament matchup. Now, lastly, before we wrap this one up, let's take a look back at how Steph obliterated the Kings yet again for the second time around. In this particular matchup, Curry rolled early on as he hit this tough acrobatic layup against Sabonis. Then, when the Dubs were down in the third, he hit a nice flyby 3 at the top of the key to cut down the lead to 6. Anyway, the Dubs continued to chip away the lead by the fourth, and when they were down by 2 with around 4 minutes left, Steph delivered in the clutch by hitting this dribble handoff 3 to give the lead back to the Warriors. And finally, when the Dubs were desperate for a bucket in crunch time, they went to their main guy as always, and in return, Steph trickled in this soft floater to put the Dubs on top. Well, even though that game belonged to Klay when he hit the winning basket, Steph also put up some timely buckets as you saw in the previous clips, and ended the night with 21 points while shooting 40% from 3 and 7 out of 15 from the field to help the Dubs grab the W, 102-101.